All right, so I'm just I'm driving to work real quick because they've got a luncheon for everybody, and I'm just wanting to maybe, I don't know, talk out loud. Yeah, I just don't know who's going to be seeing these episodes. I think that a lot of people that are watching it right now, people who checked in already, are people who are aware of the false reality that we are being presented in terms of our world. But, you know, I think of my question is always, to a certain extent, you know, what do we do with the information that we're given? Do we actively insert ourselves? You know what I mean? Like right at the end of the Matrix, you know, when the first Matrix, when Neo places that phone call and he tells the agents what he's gonna do, and he then takes off. he hangs up the phone and then he takes off up into the air, right, like Superman. I mean, that's he inserted himself into the people around him. You know, they saw that action and it's like, oh, somebody just took off and flew up into the air. That's kind of weird. Oh well, go on with my day. I just try to think of the people who aren't aware yet, and you know, we ask them those questions. So, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Are you even looking? Do you even know that you're supposed to be looking? I didn't. You know, you think back, I think back to a year and a half ago when I came across the information that woke me up, and then it just casket just opened up. The whole rabbit hole just opened up. And you know, I had heard of conspiracy theories, obviously, before that, JFK being the biggest one, 9/11 after that, but even the 9/11 thing, I just didn't care. It just didn't grab me. It didn't make sense. It didn't connect. It didn't jive. I just don't even know. So, I don't know. I'm just trying to think through the conversation that I just had with Swiss Geezer, and am trying to think about the purpose for my channel. The purpose for my channel is really to provide information to people who aren't aware. What do you mean, Paul McCartney? What do you mean Paul McCartney's dead? You know what I mean? I remember hearing that stuff back in the 80s. I remember hearing, you know, about Revolution and playing it backwards, but it's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. So, I don't know. Just trying to think through stuff. So if you're out there, if you're listening, post comments, post questions. If you listen to an episode, send me a question at redhenradio@gmail.com. So that's red, HENN radio, redhenradio@gmail.com. Send me some questions, send me some references, send me anybody that you'd like me to maybe try to line up as a guest. So, yeah, it's just very interesting. You know, what do you do with the information? How do you see the world that you are living in? How do you interpret the events of history? How do you interpret the events of current events? You know, what does this event mean? Why is this event happening? What is the information? What is the source of the information? Trust your senses. Common sense. Trust your senses. Question your sources. And resist consensus. You know, but even those three little taglines that I'm throwing out there for you presuppose that there's a reason to do that. What do you mean, tell me to trust my senses? Why shouldn't I? Or why do you think that I'm not trusting my senses? But as Swiss Geezer pointed out, even he was reading the economic rags. Even he was watching the mainstream narrative, and he didn't see it. He didn't see it until 2006. And there was something about it. He had heard of Building 7 before that. He had heard of Building 7, right? Didn't even think about it. Didn't question it. Just kept going. When I started my podcast on biblical interpretation at rethinkingrevelation.com, actually before that it was called For the Glory of God and Kings, but I did an episode or a couple of episodes where I talked about cognitive dissonance, but I didn't call it cognitive dissonance because back then I didn't think about cognitive dissonance in that way. I called it theological speed bumps, TSBs, theological speed bumps, because I was trying to express my journey through biblical interpretation. That is, that I was reading the Bible and I was reading the information differently than my church leadership, my church correspondents, my constituents in the religious circle in which I existed. I was reading the Bible and I was seeing something that no one else was talking about, and no one else in my circle. Other people talked about it, but in my circle, nobody was talking about it. Nobody was thinking about it. And so I started to say, when I read the Bible and the Bible confronts me and challenges the way that I read it, it's like running across a speed bump too fast. You're driving and you're not paying attention, and boom, boom. Oh, I'm supposed to be slowing down. I'm actually not supposed to be going 65 and a 25. I should be slowing down. That's what happens in reality. We have these speed bumps. We have these cognitive dissonances that confront us, and sometimes we don't even pay attention. We just keep driving. We're 65 and a 25. We don't care. I got places to go, people to see, things to do. And so we don't even notice that we just ran over Granny Smith as she was crossing the street. We're not aware. Just think of where you're at. Where are you right now on that spectrum? Are you aware that there are speed bumps in your worldview that trigger your sensibility, your common sense, to say, okay, wait a minute, this is what I'm being told. I mean, think about the California fires, right? I mean, have you even looked at any of the video footage or any of the stills that are available for the California fires? I think that it's quite difficult. That if you see that mobile home park, that trailer park, completely burned down, and the wooded area around it is not, you got to ask yourself, how did that fire get to those mobile homes? How'd that happen? That's what I'm talking about, at least in that situation, right? That's a cognitive dissonance. That's a media speed bump, right? Media speed bump. They're showing you something and you're just not paying attention. I wasn't paying attention. Now I pay attention all the time, and I squint. All right, that's what we have to do. We have to learn how to squint with the information that we're given. We have to learn how to read between the lines. But again, that presupposes, why do you read between the lines? What are you saying? Is there something else going on, or why do you think they're not telling us the truth? And that's where you get that confrontation with people who don't even question the reality with which they are presented. They don't even question it. And so you get hostile reactions, you get nonchalant reactions. It's just, yeah. So I don't know if I'm making any sense. Just trying to process this all. So just trying to think through, right? Think through. So see one person watching, that's awesome. Got to start somewhere. And so, all right, I'm gonna check out of this live stream and whatnot. Thanks for checking in there, one-time visitor, don't know who you are. And yeah, I guess we'll catch you later.